Cool.
Recording.
Okay.
All right, so this is year 10 classes in the codes here. Probably one of the most important things is to make sure that you have the year that the kids are doing that course. So when we first set this up 3 or 4 years ago, we didn't do that. So we just had, in this case here, we had 10 CAR for careers, .P1. We want a P line and a Q line here, and we didn't have that. When our senior campus rolled over back in 2016 from year 11 to year 12, then all these kids got mixed up because the courses weren't discrete. So we thought the best method to do that would be to make sure we've got the year code in the code, the year in the code. So this year, I mean, it is painful because we have to go through and change all our codes every year so that they're going to 20 next year, which I'm in the middle of doing now. So yeah, but that's as far as it goes for Edval, really. Anyone got any comment on that, or?
So my understanding, if I can jump in, David, is that I noticed you've got the period there after the 19.
Yes.
And that any code that you have after the period actually comes through slightly differently as to how that comes into Canvas. And so it's important to have that before the period there rather than after, so they are discrete courses.
Yes, that's right, because the period tells it that that's the class. So we're going to talk about blueprint and sections next anyway. So, and that's what is exactly tells it that is a different section.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're looking at, if I just share my screen again, if I go back to Edval, so that period there, that tells it that 10 is obviously the year, and that's the course code there. So CAR 19 is the course code. So
we can't see your screen, David.
Ah, can't you? Didn't I share it? That better?
There we go.
Yeah,
there we go.
that's coming through.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm a first timer at this.
All good.
So when you're looking at careers here, you can see that's got 10 CAR 19 .P1, .P2, and so forth. The 10 CAR 19 is the course. So all those classes, if you've got it in sections, will appear in the as a course, and then each one of those will be a section.
Oh, so in effect, they're not individual courses.
It depends how you set it up.
We'd
Right?
like to set it up so that those, for instance, we've got CAR, P1, P2, P3, P4. We want those not to be sections. We want to start off with those to be an actual course. How do we do that?
So is that for your whole school?
Yeah.
Yep. So in that particular case, when you go to Central,
Oh, Central's there.
where's Central? No, it's not.
Oh.
When you go into Central,
Yeah.
and you go into the syncing area, this is down on our thing, but we'll, as I said, we want
We'll
to
do it now.
we'll do it now anyway.
Cool.
So when you go into Central, into the sections here, there's a little tick box for it. So when you go into integrations,
Yep.
and you go to Canvas.
Yep.
All right, so this was point number 3 anyway, which sort of blends into blueprint anyway. So when you can see here, see it's got course structure here, a little box.
Yep.
So if you do that, you will get a course for each class,
Got you.
right? We don't have that ticked. The reason we don't have that ticked is, I'll go back to section 2 now, is because we have some staff that want blueprint and some staff that want sections. All right, so with blueprint, essentially what you're doing is the head teacher designs the course. There are no students inside the course, and then from there they can basically publish it to Canvas, and then you link the classes to it. The downside about blueprint though is that if I go back to Edval, I'll show you what I mean. So if I go to English, you can see here you can see here I've got 10EN19P1.P1
Yes.
because I have to tell it that that's a different course.
So the .P1 differentiates it?
It's this bit here. See the 10EN19P1.P1.
Yep.
Then I've got 10EN19P2.P2.
Yep.
It's sort of repeating it, but I have to do that to split that up. Now, as soon as I split that up in Edval, that will then flow across into Canvas as a separate course and then attached to the blueprint, right? The downside to those blueprints, look, it just depends how you want to do it. I want to give my head teachers the flexibility to do it how they want to do it. But we recently did an audit, and it meant that we had to go through. We're a junior campus. We've got 10 classes in each year. When we did the audit, the ones that use sections, they're all in one course with different sections.
Yes.
The blueprints have all got separate courses. But you don't have to use Blueprint either. You can make a course for every class if you want to. When we first went onto it years ago, we sat down with our CSM and said that that's what we wanted, and they said we recommend you go sections. Because it was a different setup to Moodle. What it means is that if you've got a course set up as a course with sections, then you've got one course that can be managed by somebody, and then you're basically assigning announcements and assignments and calendar events to each section. Everything has that upside and a downside.
Yeah. One thing, just before you move on, Dave, when I've noticed with some other clients where we've played around with that tick box that you had in the integration settings in Central, if that is ticked, see the subject that you have there in Edval, that nice friendly course name. Yeah. We've found that as the data comes across, if it's unticked like you have it, it's nice and friendly like that inside of Canvas. But if you tick that, it just has the course code, so it's not quite as nice looking.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, just as an FYI.
Yeah. The other thing
I've never ticked it, so
that's the thing. The other thing with blueprints, when you use it, we've got our science and English faculties use it because they like to have one course with all their assignments in it, but then they like to have all the classes have their own space. So it's a little bit like a class differentiation out of the course. I teach Japanese, so 100 hours of Year 7 Japanese, I like to make sure that every class has access because I've got some teachers that aren't Japanese trained. We've just got a few extra periods than what we've got. So I make sure that I've got it in sections because I have complete control and they can add to it. There's no problem with that, but then everyone gets to see what's added to the entire course. Whereas if I was just adding to a blueprint class, then the other teachers wouldn't see that at all. So I'd rather keep, my preference is to keep everything above board. And, you know, if I've got a really great PowerPoint, a YouTube clip and a click view that I put on my course, that the other teachers can actually use it as well. So rather than having it locked down on my classes. So it's you know, it's probably up to you and your staff, but I'd probably really have a look at the pros and cons of using either or. So, and I think it depends too on the course as well. For me, it works because I can support my staff. For English, they're all quite experienced and they like to go off on different texts, so that's great. So, you know, it's just it's how it's set up. So it's more it comes down to probably their personal choice.
But also when you're doing the reporting, I do the reports here too. So when I'm setting up the reports, instead of having to click one class, you know, when you, I don't know if you guys do reports or not, but when you're clicking it and assigning classes, you can just click on a line, a row, and all the classes will go across. As soon as you go blueprint, you've got to have separate class codes. So all of a sudden everything's split up. So you've got to click 10 times instead of once. So it's got its positives and negatives.
Pros and cons, yeah.
Yeah,
we're not using blueprints. We did try at the very beginning.
Yeah.
But for the staff at our school, they found that having one homepage that was the same across all classes within the course didn't suit their needs.
Yeah.
I'm not a teacher. I just try and fulfill their desires in making this system as user-friendly and as adoptable as possible for them.
Aren't we all?
Yes.
You've got the worst job.
Well, I'm actually quite enjoying it. It's a good team of people that I'm working with, so that helps.
Yeah, we've been to Ulladulla before. It's a lovely school. They're so nice. So.
Oh, Ulladulla, you got the world's best principal.
Ah, another fan.
Oh, yeah.
Everywhere I go, I meet fans of Denise.
Yeah.
That's
Cool.
good. That's good.
Well, her best mate used to be our principal, remember?
Okay.
Paul
Right.
Tracy.
All right. So what are we up to next?
All right. So
So
are we
you
happy
go.
with blueprint versus sections, or do we want to talk more about that? Is there everyone happy with that?
Yep.
Yeah?
Righto.
Okay.
Set up.
All right. So setup of the central options. I'll go back and share my desktop again, and I'll show you what we've got. And I'll turn that off. Yeah. All right, so we've got our set to, so remembering we're a college here, so we've got 3 campuses going into one, 3 central servers going into one. So ours actually go at 1 a.m., 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., which is been set by Dan at Central. So even though it's synced there at 6 a.m., it's not actually true. So this is the GUI that came out not long ago, which has been improved a fair bit. So it tells you the last time it was synced, and then that's the API key. So the API key is set in Canvas, which gives Central access to do it, but they'll probably talk you through that when you're setting up in the first place. Don't need to change that. That's just the URL of it. There's a new thing called Exclusions here, which has come out probably about .45 on Central, which allows you to actually stop some courses going into Canvas from Edval that you may have on there that you don't want to have courses for. There's your course structure. There's your authentication provider with his MS365. So actually that might be what's up with Urala.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't look at that. I was talking to Urala an hour ago,
Yeah.
and that they weren't getting the MS365 coming through. So, yeah, that could be a reason.
That could be it, David.
Yeah,
Oh, is he?
you're there, are you?
I'm not Drew. I'm supervising Drew. He's had to go home early today, but I'll go to Central and have a bit of a play.
Yeah, well, I said to him that when I had a look at Canvas, they weren't getting the little the little black thing there.
square.
So when I actually go here,
Yeah.
if I look up myself in Canvas, then if you've got Microsoft, then you should get a little.
It should have the little black sort of square.
Should have that little square there, a little icon. Right. So if that's not there, then you're not going to get on. So I would say have a look at that on yours to see that it's got MS365 on there, because you've got all these different options. We use MS365 because we use SharePoint, and it connects into the Microsoft environment really well. The username format, we've got email set on ours. This one's really important. What that means is that if you've got a kid that goes from one, or staff member that goes from one course to another, if you've got it as deleted, they'll actually be removed from the course and it'll be deleted. If you've got it completed, then when the kids come in here and they can see their courses, and we go to all courses, then it'll come down into the past enrolments. It also means that their marks and all that is not deleted as well.
Yeah. We can still access their marks, from either previous courses, or even if they change classes, they might end up changing roles, and all of a sudden you can still go back and see their marks. So it just makes it a bit easier, and the teachers can do that themselves from that as well.
Just another FYI, if you do happen to have had deleted selected there and you do need to bring anything back, it's actually fairly easy.
Yeah.
to do in Canvas. Nothing's ever deleted like out of the system. It's just changing the status. It just makes it that you can't see it in the user interface, but you can just re-enroll them back into the course and it'll come right back. So just to allay any fears that anyone might have on that front.
Yeah,
we experienced that back in 2016 when we had a staff member leave and she was getting notifications from our languages course.
Which is me.
And that was just Stacy, and she decided to delete the whole course to get rid of the notifications. Of course, her actions worked really well, but Stacy lost everything. But it was recoverable very quickly.
It was actually Canvas recovered it for us. So
we found that we were having some difficulty with that particular thing with the central sync. Even though we had the deleted status set to completed, there was times when our sync came across and it was deleting users rather than completing them. And Grant was working with Central to try and get that fixed, and we're not quite sure whether it's been fixed as yet. Even though our settings are exactly as you're describing them, our auto sync still isn't working.
We had the same problem.
Yeah, look, I mean, we've been working with Dan from Central from WordGet, and seems that as sometimes when Central updates, sometimes the code's broken or changed, or you know, when there was one stage there where we had all of HSPA's kids come onto our Canvas because one of their coders was mucking around with the syncing. So, yeah.
Well, my kids go to HSPA and they saw the name Lambert, so they went, "Oh, that's the school," and everything came over. So.
Just for interest's sake, as well, then using the installed, have you got a central server in your school or using the online version?
We've currently got a server. We're waiting to go on the enterprise. Because one of our hassles is kids. I mean, getting on to another topic, Canvas is great because everything's on the one instance. With Central, for us, it's not. When our kids go from Waratah Wallsend to our senior campus, they're going onto another Central server. So, you know, the kids aren't on the same database. So they've got to come onto ours, look at their history and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, so we're looking to go into the enterprise, but they're still working on that with the department at the moment.
Okay, righto.
Yep. Okay, so
anything else about the auto sync? That was.
No, I haven't finished the bits yet.
Sorry. Oops.
Sorry, I was going to ask about the username format.
So we've got the Year 12 term there. We don't have Year 12, aren't we lucky? So we've got nothing in there. But if you've got Year 12, like our Jesmond campus has, then what you would do is for this year, you'd have, as they move in it, you'd have the term as 2020. So you've got all the kids in 2019, and then when they move over, they roll over in Year 11 into Year 12, you put 2020.
There might be a question.
So do you have the Year 12s going into 2020 or a specific HSC 2020 year?
No, we use 2020. We just use 2018, 2019, 2020.
Okay, so what happens when they go into 2020? Those students and those courses just roll across into that 2020.
Yeah, so Year 12 rolls across in term 4, and then the others roll across in term 1 next year.
Oh, okay. Because we've been using a specific one because that was the way Central we set it up. So ours is actually currently called 2019 HSC.
Yeah, Jesmond was using that way, but now we've just simplified it, I suppose.
Okay.
It seems to be working. Well, last time I spoke to Jesmond, it was working.
Okay.
So maybe I'm wrong.
We might.
Not always right. Provision parents is ticked so that if you're using the observers, that'll automatically provision. It doesn't sync passwords though, so the parents have to go on and do it. We've recently got the parent app working. So if you're interested in the parent app, I highly recommend it. They can actually connect to the kids through the parent app without having to go through Central. But to do that, you need to get onto your CSM and get them to get you another URL for the parent app to access it, so it's not hijacked by Microsoft.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah, so we need to get parents to authenticate via Canvas rather than your Office 365. That's why we need that extra kind of URL.
But working really well.
And when they do,
Yeah.
it's so easy because the kids will just go into their settings and get a parent code. The parents will download the app and they'll just have add pairing code, and it's the code from the kids' settings. So it's
So
Since we've got the parent app, the amount of parents contacting me has dropped probably 80%.
So is that URL the same one as, because we have a number of users that I manually create that don't have Office 365 accounts. So is that the same URL?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
But for mobile, you just need to kind of have that extra one so that they can search it by parent or kind of differentiate it between parent and staff.
Yep.
So that they're able to kind of take the right route.
So
Let's
if you
chat
look,
about it further on our call next week, Craig.
Yeah. Okay.
Kristen did have a question, David. So just in the username format, she's just asking, what does it do if we use the pref.external_ID?
no idea. I use email.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we're
not pressing it.
We just use email. So
I don't know, that's not selected.
look, I'm not sure. I mean, that's what was set up from us from the word go. So when this GUI was released by Dan, ours just had email. So, and ours are using their email address to log on with. And don't forget, with the department changing across to the single sign-on very shortly, then that will be your email. So
yeah, I would suggest that as well, because that just means that the authentication for everything is basically the same username.
that's right. That's right. So, I mean, it'd be lovely to be able to connect onto Central and everything like that. I'm waiting anxiously for the single sign-on to come in, see what happens. Because I'm sick of signing in.
That's because your name's so long.
Yeah. So the last one is just update student emails. That's all. So that's that section there. I mean, you've got if your auto's not working for some reason, or something hasn't come across, I just go sync now, and then it works all the time, no problem. Rollover data's been put in for the end of the year, and then you can get your sys import files.
So I've just got another question, David. So the question is, how do you do the initial import of data? Is this done directly from Edval or through Sentral?
So it's a matter of syncing to Sentral from Edval, and then in your initial setup with Sentral, they'll push. It just gets pushed through.
Yeah.
I asked that question. Hello. We're having problems at the moment getting Sentral to send us the data for Canvas. So we've got Edval and Sentral at the moment, but Sentral is being difficult in getting the data we need for Canvas. So do any of you have like another way of getting that initial data import? So basically the get sysid button doesn't work.
Can you send me the information? I'll get onto them for you.
All right, no problem. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, David.
No worries.
David, can I just point out I'm going directly from Edval into Canvas because we don't have Central, we've got Millennium.
Oh, okay. How does that go? How does that work? All right.
Well, full of problems, but I'm learning a lot. We're getting there.
Yeah. Look, I was really keen to come from the department too, but the thing is, we need that 3PI to work, and I mean, I've just given up on it really. But for Edval to the department, I've had no success with it. Just doesn't work.
Yeah.
David, I have a question. That rollover data button, what can you explain what that does?
I've never pressed it, so I'm assuming at the end of in the middle of January when they're saying, when I'm keen to hook Canvas up again, and they're Central saying, no, we haven't rolled over the data yet, then maybe I'll be able to do it myself. But that's a fairly new button, so I have not pressed it yet. But it'll be a January thing.
Okay.
Maybe they're giving us the.
I'm assuming.
Yeah. Yeah. So setup of Canvas.
Yeah, we've only got 5 minutes to go. I mean, we're only a few in, and I do have to go, so I can't hang around. But do you guys want to do this? Keep going another week, or do you want to? Is there anything on that list you want me specifically to talk about today in the next 5 minutes?
I'm still bit lost in regards to a naming convention to use, because we haven't actually set that up the way that we'd like it to do the import, and I'm still a bit confused as to what naming convention would be best to use in Edval.
For the classes?
Yeah.
Okay.
'Cause what they actually want is they want each class to be a course. I know that sounds a lot, but what I have done is I've created within my Canvas, I've actually got the sub-accounts all set up. And in those sub-accounts, I've put all of the relevant courses into the sub-account so the head teacher can manage all of those courses that way.
Why have you got sub-accounts?
Just to group them all together.
That's the way we do it as well.
We don't have sub-account. We've got sub-accounts for each campus, but that's it.
So we have sub-accounts, and I do that for the purpose of devolving responsibility for account management.
Same.
So the head teachers of each faculty look after their own sub-account. So for instance, if they want a particular student to go into a course in which they're not enrolled in Central, the head teacher can move those teachers around manually as the sub-account manager.
And they can also distribute blueprints from the sub-account as well. So we've got ours set up, each class is a course, and then each of those courses is in a sub-account, and then the person who is running the sub-account can distribute the blueprint from the sub-account.
Yeah, it just keeps the blueprints together in the sub-account too, because you've got to have the courses in the class courses in the same sub-account as the blueprint.
Yeah.
So, that just means it's grouping the blueprints and the courses that they have to go to in the same sub-account.
In that sub-account. Yeah, that's how I'm doing it, exactly how I'm doing it. So, Craig, are you able to tell me what naming convention that you've used in Edval to be able to get those courses to come across that way, please?
Ours looks the same as David's does. So we have included the year in the class name.
Yep.
And we've got the period and then the number of classes that are in that course, basically.
Just
Edval
to clarify,
the number of courses when you build it from the lines and create the classes. It'll put the period, the dot, whatever number class it is, and the naming convention's the same.
Just to clarify, Lynn, as well, sub-accounts, Central has no concept of sub-accounts. So that is done after the fact.
Yeah, I manually set all that up.
Yeah. Yep.
Done.
Well, see, we do. When I say we don't have sub-accounts, we have a sub-account for Wallsend, Waratah and Jesmond. So what Central have done for us is that they automatically put those codes on for us. So if I go and share this and have a look at ours, if I go and have a look at our courses, so up here you can see, if I go to Wallsend, say, and I have a look at our courses, then, and I go to 2019.
Should be up the top. Oh, yeah.
You see ours has got Wallsend in there? See? So that's giving so that's our code this year. But Central's done that. I haven't done that. That's all coming across automatically from Central.
Yep.
So that's into a sub-account. So if you've got sub-accounts for each of your faculties, then, yeah,
They'll have
But,
to have
but I guess
faculty
that's
code.
I guess that's because we're coming from 3 different central servers, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in Edval, say for instance, Aboriginal Studies.
Yeah.
In Edval, the course name's just
So
exactly
in Edval,
just that 10. Yeah.
it's just that bit there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
All right.
Perfect. Okay, I get it.
So so there's the class there. See, 10
Yep.
ABS 19.x. So that's the X line, and Central's turning it into that.
Yep.
All
Is
right.
it just one?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the story.
Got it.
All right. Look, I'm going to have to go, but we're quite happy to do this on a fortnightly basis or something, or do a follow up to this. We haven't got we've only got a third of the way through, so I think it's valuable. So we're more
Yes, for sure. Thank you very much, David. What I might do, I might send out another newsletter just for all of you here today, and anyone that has a DAT email, we'll do a part 2 of what we've kind of discussed and follow on from this discussion, because I think it's been really useful for a lot of people here. We'll obviously consult with you, David, just to make sure that the times all work.
Yep, no worries.
Time works, yeah. Cool.
Too easy.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
No worries.
And just lastly,
yes.
I might just mention, so we sent out another newsletter. We're trying to set up a K12 group for Australia and New Zealand. More broadly speaking. So if you are interested in joining that, we do have a survey that we've attached to that newsletter. If you could fill that out, that'd be really good. We're just trying to get some feedback on times and some of the cadence that you guys want to meet up, as well as topics and product features that you really want from a K12 perspective. So we'd really love to kind of hear from you guys so that we can get that ball rolling.
No worries.
All right, thanks everyone.
No worries.
We'll speak again in a couple of weeks.
We'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
No worries. Bye.
Bye.